Hello, and welcome to this demonstration of how to install the CSC MOOCs Cloud Security Multiplex for Zscaler on Azure Cloud on high availability using availability sets. It's very simple task. We are going to replicate what we have here in this network diagram. We are going to install two connectors, the CSC MOOCs and A and B, and we are going to configure them in high availability to allow them to manage the routing tables. You can manage multiple route tables to decide which is the exit to the internet in NetHub A via connector A or via connector B in order to create a high availability. And as I said, we are going to deploy on availability sets. In addition to this, we are going to create for a VDI here for virtual. We have machines behind here. We're going to create a special pack file that will allow to use both connectors at the same time and to have 4 gigabit per second to Zscaler for web traffic. Then, first thing first, let's create the setup on the console. It's very easy. The only thing we need to do on the console, Zscaler console, is the VPN credential allocation. This is my Zscaler console. I already created the VPN credentials. This is very easy. Administration, VPN credentials, and I create my CSC MOOCs. This credential is a full qualified name, and you need to put the value of the email and your pre-share key for this email and pre-share key. The next is you need to use this on a location. This is my location name. Go to administration, location management, and if you click here, you add the location, and you need to select the VPN credential. I have already it. I did already on my console. This is my location, and this is the VPN credential associated. And on the location, you can set up your authentication, SSL, IP surrogate, firewall, all the controls that you want on the location. You need to define only one location for both connectors, not needed one per each one. This is step one done. Let's do a step two. Select the external and internal subnet where to place the connectors. This is the only real prerequisite. The connector is a firewall and will isolate the traffic, external traffic for internal traffic. Then we need to have an internal external subnet. And here I have this BNet on my region, and I create two subnets, one external, one internal. Step 2 done. Next, step 3, launch the connector. You can launch the connector in two ways. One is using the marketplace and the other using templates. We provide the templates because there are a lot of people who have other tools for automation, and they prefer to use templates directly and not to use click via the marketplace. The way to use the marketplace, if you go to the marketplace, just put Zscaler Internet Access and search all apps for Zscaler Internet Access, and you will find these three. We are going to deploy this one or 2 gig. We're going to deploy the 2 gig on availability set. But if you want to deploy via the template, go to support.maidenheadbridge.com. You will be here. And on the Cloud Security Multiplex section, here you have the templates. If you go to the bottom of this, you have the files, and here the explanation how to install using template. It's very easy. It's, let me do a quick demonstration. You just put on the portal, Zscaler portal, put template, say use custom template, build your own template, load the file provide, and in my case is this one, and save. And now you can put your source group and also the values of the authentication password and the external VNet and external subnet, internal subnet, and create. It's very easy. I'm going to do from the marketplace because, well, it's another way. Then I will click get it now. Then let's click on continue for 2 gig. You are going to be redirected to the portal. Let's create a resource group here. I will select my resource group. This is my resource group. Region is US. I will deploy 2 because it's on high availability. I have a name for the connector. This is the name for the virtual machine. Then I will change this name. And the password. I have here the password for the virtual machine. Trophy. Next. Next section, create the size of the virtual machine. The connector of 1 gig needs 2 vCPUs with accelerated networking, and the 2 gigs need 4. Next. Networking. External. And internal. Next. The availability set, this template will create one, but you can reuse one if you have one created. Please put the name and values. Then we are running the validation. If the validation fails, maybe potentially the problem is you don't have enough CPUs or IPs. Then let's click on create. And the deployment will start. And this automation will create all what you need: the security groups, the interfaces, the public IPs. Everything is created for you. This takes about, now it's creating the virtual machine. It takes about 2 or 3 minutes, and I will pause the video meanwhile, waiting for the full deployment. Well, our deployment is complete now. Then we'll move to the resource group to validate if all the things are here. As you can see, everything was created: the virtual machines, the public IPs, the network security group, the interfaces, and the availability set. Next task is to run the initial wizard on each CSC MUX. Then I will select the virtual machine of the MUX, go to networking, select the interface Ethernet 1, that is the Ethernet 1 is the first interface, then and SSH with CSC admin, the IP of this interface. I'm going to do it here. Let me put this first. That's number 1. Number 7, okay. Let's do it. Here we go. Yes. And the password that we set up for the VM is this one. The connector will try to pick up the latest nodes, so skeleton nodes, and now we are ready to do the initial wizard. The initial wizard is to select the cloud, nodes, DNS, pack files for the bypasses, and the syslog if you want. Then let's go. You want to set up my cloud is skeleton 3. I will select the nodes manually, no automatically. Then my first node is Washington, and my second will be New York. Let's put the VPN credentials created. Here my VPN, the email ID, and the password for the tunnel. is the password for the tunnels. Take a look, that's okay. DNS, I will use the Azure server, that's fine. I don't need to change this. The pack URL, yes, I have already created the pack URL. This is the way to, for those who are new with the connector is capable to read the pack file to apply all the list of bypasses. In this case, I have this pack file already created on my Zscaler console, and on the connector, I need to set up the URL of the pack file. I want to set up the pack URL. Then now the connector is downloading the pack file and is applying the bypasses. When you have multiple connectors, you can update all at once, and using this pack file as a central repository of all your bypasses in your network. You want to apply change? Yes. I'm not going to send the logs, but the connector has the capacity to send logs to SIEM server or syslog. I say no, and let's go for this. It's checking the nodes, host names, IPs to host names, and checking if I live, and I say yes. Okay, this is all the tasks. It's very easy. Let's go to the connector number 2 now, and let's do the same. Go to networking, Ethernet 1, and this is the IP, the number 10224. Then I will use this SSH console for this one. Okay. Again, same problem than before. The SSH was already done recently. Yes. Password for the virtual machine. The user is always CSC admin. And paste. Okay, let's do the same. My cloud is Zscaler true, do it manually. 36 is Washington, and 29 is New York. Put your pre-share keys of the tunnel. This is my VPN credentials, and the pre-share key. You want to see if display. I'm going to use the Azure DNS server. I want to configure the bypass pack URL. Here is my pack file for bypasses. And refresh, yes. Syslog, no for the moment, and you want to implement these values. Okay. Checking the nodes. Alive. And let's do a configuration reboot. I will pause this video again to wait for this. You need to wait about 3 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes for the initial setup, and after everything will be ready. Well, we are back now. We did the initial wizard. Then now we're going to take a look of the statuses, and we are going to configure high availability to manage the routing tables on the on your environment. Then let's take a look now of the status of the connectors first. I will SSH the connector, and I will take a look of the status. This is the menu of the connectors. You have a monitoring task, admin, the section for the bypass proxy, logs, and configuration wizards. The number one show configuration status in one shot is doing all tests you need to do, and is showing you the general information, the interface information. In our case, we will need to use these IPs, the internal gateway IP, as a net hub for the default route to the internet. And when using pack files, we will need to use this information. This is the VIP proxy and the bypass proxy, where to point the information. Then I'm going to copy this because I will need this for the pack file information. Let me let me create a section traffic redirection. Okay. Okay, good. The next section is showing the public IPs in use, the DNS information, primary nodes, the load balancing status. All tunnels are up using the primary. The IPsec information, this is for troubleshooting purpose, to analyze when was the last uptime of the tunnel and the last security association. And here the most important piece, but the Zscaler, the information from the page ipzscaler.com, that is the way to validate your reachability to Zscaler. And it's showing here that you have all tunnels coming from different public IPs. This is the way to reach to scale and to aggregate tunnels on Zscaler. This is all good. Let me go to the second one, and this second one is number 4. Let's put password here. And let's do the same. Let's take a look of all tunnels and let's pick up the information for the pack file for the machines with pack file. Then okay, let's call this CSC1 and CSC2. Okay. Well, now as I said, let's do the high availability. This is for route traffic using pure routing when you don't want to use pack files, anything. And say I want to route all traffic via Zscaler. I need some device with intelligence to manipulate the net hop for one connector or the another. Let's do the configuration on the connectors. I will do this in parallel in both because the information is almost the same. And the route table that is affecting my devices now is this route table. And I will manipulate the route, this route, and this route. I will manipulate these two. That is very important. The connector has the capacity to manage multiple routes. Then I will manipulate this route and this route, and the next hop should change. Now the next hop for this machine that is here is they are going direct to the internet and not via Zscaler, not via the connectors. Then as soon I put them on high availability, this net hop will change to one of the connectors. Then let me do this in parallel. I will use this wizard for high availability 14. Oops, I forgot one very important thing. If you see something in red now, this is because we need to assign the identity of the connectors first. Then in order to allow the connectors to manage the Azure API. Then I will go to my connectors. Let me go first to the connector 1. Let's go to identity, assign identity. And now put the role. And I will the connector to manage the resource group what is the connector, because the connector need to read the other connector as a contributor. And also I will add the resource group where are my routing tables, because I need to change the routing tables. And our subscription, so let's go resource group, and let's go for route tables. Let's contribute. Save. Okay, now I have the capacity to read the other connector and to change the route table. Let me go to the second one. I need to do the same here. Go to identity, system assigned, save, yes. And on roles, there is multiple ways to create these roles, and you can be as specific as you want. Because I have everything on one resource group, it's much easier for me to do by resource group. Then I will do the resource group. Now my resource group is where the routing tables are. Most people pull all the route tables and the connectors on one specific resource group. That is much easier. Okay, this is done. Now each connector has the proper identity to manage the route tables. Then let's do the configuration again. Now for 14 here, that looks much better. And if I do 14 here, in the second one, now it's logging in on the console using the system. It does. Okay, let's say yes here, and say route name. The route name is on my route table. This is the route name, the two route names I want to change, and I have this information here. This is my route name. I prefer to copy from the TXT file and not from the HTML, because sometimes there is some wrong characters and it's painful. Yeah, I always prefer to pass. Route table. The route table is servers route table. Okay, route table, servers route table. Okay, and the resource group for this route table is route tables. Okay, now it's asking if you want another route. Yes, I want. And I want to add this server default route. This is route by route. That's very handy. The route table name is the same, and the resource group is this one. Okay. Do you want another? I say no. And now this say please input the other CSC on the par values and the computer name of the other CSC in the par. And computer name here is this one. And this is on the resource group. The resource group of the connector, no here. Oh, this one. Oops. This is the resource group of the virtual machine. And do you want to apply it? What is doing this wizard is validating the change of the connector, the resource group, everything is true, is configured. If you have anything wrong here, you will see something in red like before. Then now HA is active, is running, and because we have only one connector at the moment here, the information for high availability after the checks, all the stuff will be this connector. We need to wait about 30 seconds to have the information. Meanwhile, let's do in the other one. 14. Say yes. And let's use these values from here. Role name. Row table. Resource group. Do you want to another? Yes. Row name. Row table. And resource group. No. And the computer name of the other connector here, that is this computer name. And the resource group of the connectors, that is this one. Okay, I want to pay changes, yes. Okay, we need to wait some minutes for the stability of the resource, but if I go to my routing table here, as you can see now, the IP here is the number 7. Before it was this one. The connector already changed in the routing table. Then if I come to the machine behind these machines now, if I click, I'm going via the access scaler because the routing table was changed. Okay, it's very, very easy to do. The high availability is only you need to do this task, as put the routes and put the name of the other CSC on the pair, and the high availability will manage the configuration. It will tell you the route to set scaler is using the next hop, that is this CSC in this case, because we did this first, and the second one will show you that the route table is using this next hop, but it's the other CSC on the part. That's it. This in case of failure, they will change the routing tables. This is the step. Now you have all traffic via scaler, and these lines in green is configure. Optional configure pack files for web traffic to use both CSCs on the same time. Suppose you have virtual desktops here, and because both connectors are active, it makes sense to put a pack file and to use both connectors at the same time. How to do this? It's very, very easy. The only thing you need to do is this pack file. Is use this pack file. Is this is an example we provide. This is standard scalar pack file. First section is the standard scalar values. The second section is what is the magic of load balancing. It is where you can use both connectors at the same time. And finally, section 3 is the bypass section. It's for the section if you want to send traffic direct to the internet, and we are going to test this. And finally, the default traffic to Zscaler. In this section, what we are going to do is to manipulate the variables to Zscaler and bypass traffic. And how this works? Well, we are going to read the IP of the VDI, of the virtual desktop, or whatever it is. And depending if it is odd or even IP, we will use one connector as primary or the other. And in this way, you are able um, to balance the traffic. That's very easy. Then I will going to change this CSC1 BIP with the values of the traffic redirection. Then this is my CSC1 IP. Okay, now I'm going to do the same with number 2. I will take the values for the VIP, internal VIP of number 2. And also now we are doing the same for the bypass traffic. CSC1 bypass traffic is this value. And CSC2 bypass traffic is this one. Replace. Okay, now I have all the values. I will copy this pack file and I will upload the pack file on my console. I have already created this pack file, but I will change this one. Then let me back to my Zscaler console. Let's back here. Let's log in. Okay, then I will go to my hosted pack file and I will search for CSC MUX HA. This is the pack file I already created. I will delete these values and I will paste the values of the pack file created. It's all good, and here you can see the values. And save. 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 Good, good, good. Now the only that I need to do is to use my production pack file on my device. And if I come to this browser, this Google Chrome, is going via routing. And now that is Chromium, same Google Chrome. I will set up a back script. The final run is already. I think I don't need to do anything here. And you will see that now still running. It's using the same. It's hitting another instance, but it's already working. One other way to test this is if I do porquiz.net here. As you can see, this in this case with the pack file is using this IP because it's bypassed locally, but this machine is without the pack file. Is pure routing porquiz.net, and it's going via Zscaler. Okay, that this via pack file is very. I have Porquiz on my bypass list. It's very easy to do bypasses using pack files. Well, this is the end of the video. We did all the steps. As you can see, it's very easy. Create the credentials, select where to place, run from the marketplace, initial wizard for HI, and create the pack file to use both at the same time. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we will see in the next one. And any questions, any doubts, please contact us at support.maidenheadbridge.com on our support portal. Thank you very much.